Good evening, everyone. Hello, firstly to the guest panelists, our colleague panelists. Thank you very much for joining. We'll soon be, well, definitely we are still live, just for everyone to know. But it's good to see you. All of us are here. Our hairstyles are kind of okay. It's been a long day. It's been a long 2 days. If you have any questions before we start, just shoot. Hopefully you all managed to read the questions that I posted just before. But it would be great if we would be able to facilitate a bit of conversation as well. And if you have any questions, just post them. Not necessarily we need to follow strict moderation panelist rules. It will be amazing, being that most of us work together for a year now. Some of us less than a year, but okay. Yeah, so it's more of a cozy atmosphere.
Hi, Milan, and hi, everybody. I'm sure that we will have a good dialogue for the next 1 hour. I'm pretty sure of that. We have plenty of topics to discuss, lots of ideas to share, and I'm confident that we will have a great discussion.
Always happy to talk with you, Andrei. Always good ideas and positive energy. I think I have everyone written down. That's good for a start. Wow. Okay. So, dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm very happy to host this last panel discussion between collaborators and partners within Circular Economy Beacons project. Not only that, we have a couple of guests here in our room, and hopefully we're going to have a good discussion in the next 1 hour. But before that, in the last more than 24 hours, the last 2 days, we have managed to cover more than 20 live sets, more than 20 major speakers. And now we're coming to the 24th hour of live action streaming events, talks, discussions, presentations, and collaboration. The motto of this event is can be summarized in 3 simple words. First is enjoy. Hopefully you have enjoyed the panelists and the discussions, and we will make sure that you can enjoy even after this conference, because we are recording everything, and we're going to post all the videos online, so you can inform yourselves, and maybe if you forget someone's name, to sneak peek again and contact us, because the second simple word is engage. And that's very important between all of us. And that was really also important for the last 24 hours, because we need to come together and we need to collaborate in this sense in order to facilitate a good, innovative, clean and resilient circular economy in our region. At the first speech, we have mentioned that we need regional solutions for regional needs. And now we are going to dedicate next 1 hour or next 60 minutes directly to this topic. What are our needs? What is our understanding in a higher level in every country? And then try to sum up also with some concrete activities. And that comes, or actually that leads me to the third important word of this conference, which is excel. We are here to help all of us, not we are helping you, but we are helping all of us, and you are helping us in order to actually build a follow-up, build next series of activity sections that will be highly collaborative in their character and hopefully highly systemic, because we really want to see systemic activities. And this is maybe the most important word, because we can talk and talk and talk, but then until we sit, think, and put things in motion and action, it's just going to be that letter on the paper, and we really want to avoid this. So with me, I have amazing guests from different countries. Now I'll try to number them. So we have guests from Bosnia, Romania, Montenegro, Bulgaria, Serbia, 5 different countries currently. And circular economy beacons are actually spanning their activities also in Greece, Germany, and Spain. And in that sense, we're led by the impact. We're not led by, well, definitely we need to be led by some of KPIs, but not in a very business sense. All the KPIs that we need to fulfill are very much streamlined to the impact that we are creating. And in the next couple of years, we would really like to share experience and also spread this positive impact to other Balkan countries. And we kindly invite everyone to join conversations and dialogues in the future. So starting from my right side, I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Andrei Kurikan from Romania. He's a director of Susphera, one of the partners that was collaborating with us throughout all this COVID turbulent year. We have managed to create some nice and useful things for circular economy beacons. Hi, Andrei.
Thank you, Milan. Hi, Milan. Thank you for the nice words, and I'm very glad to be here. Actually, I'm happy to be here to discuss with you and with other peers in other countries, to understand their problems, to understand their visions, to exchange information and insights. And I think this is the most valuable thing that we can do in this era of COVID. Staying in front of our computers and talking, discussing, thinking together.
Thank you, Andrei. Definitely, it's about time to share everything that we learned throughout this year as well.
Yes.
Next is Ms. Marija Raspopović from the Chamber of Commerce of Montenegro. We are collaborating on different plateaus already, I would say, from education to needs assessment and creating common activities. Marija, a great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Milan, for inviting us to join this important event. We've heard so many inspiring talks yesterday and today, and I believe this is just the very beginning of our collaboration. I really look forward to working with you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Marija, very much. Together with us is also Vedad, Mr. Vedad Suljić, Business Development Officer from CETEOR from Bosnia and Herzegovina, also collaborating on creating specific activities that should be knitted towards local needs, or actually national needs in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and also trying to source also their knowledge and wisdom to circular economy beacons in the future. Vedad, hi.
Hi to you and to everyone. So it's also the pleasure of mine to share our experiences and know-how in the field of circular economy. But indeed, I'm here to learn from all of your experience. So I'm really happy to discuss with you within the next 60 minutes. But
thank you very much, Vedad. Together with us is our long collaborator and partner actually from Cleantech Bulgaria, Marija Alexandrova, always inspiring with very practical ideas on how to start, but also maybe more importantly, how to finish some of the activities. So our right and left hand as an innovation manager from Cleantech Bulgaria, Marija, a great pleasure to have you with us.
Welcome, Milan. Thank you for having me. It's a mutual feeling, of course. Well, what can I say? We are collaborating for over a year within this fantastic project, and I'm looking forward, after lifting the spirits yesterday and today, I'm looking forward to the next year, because I really anticipate leveling up what we have just marked in 2020. Maybe if just a word for Clean Tech Bulgaria. It's really exciting for me to be here, because Clean Tech Bulgaria started in 2012, when green business was not a catchy word. It was considered to be something privileged to the prospering business only. And now we all are confident that in order to have business in the future, you need to be sustainable. So it is really my pleasure to be here today with you.
Thank you, Marija, very much. Before I tell you my name, as a big surprise, I wish also to welcome Maja Marković. They will share a bit of story a little bit later. Well, just introduce yourself, Maja, and tell us what organization or project do you represent, and later, hopefully, not hopefully, but definitely we'll share some more words on this. And also, please welcome to join all the discussion. Don't be just a silent observer, but you're very welcome to contribute.
Well, thank you for this very nice interaction. I'm kind of a surprise guest, and thank you for having me today in this really nice panel. I think I remember Maria Alexandrova from my previous engagement with Key Climate since a long time ago, and I will tell you about my project later on a bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maja, very much. And my name, the last but maybe not the least. My name is Milan Veselinov. I'm very happy to host this whole event. I mean, this whole panel, and some more moderating was in my history here. But yeah, I come from Serbia, Belgrade, Serbia, and the founder and director of CirEkon, the small company that is fully dedicated to circular economy transition. So we don't do anything else but systemically educate about systemic circular economy and implementing it in smaller or bigger environments. So I would like to kick off if you agree. That's good. In the last 24 hours, we had heard stories and narratives and discussions about cities, about material looping, about how business interact and how businesses understand. We had a couple of very inspiring leaders, as we were very also happy to host, that were talking mostly about collaboration, transparency, and systemic approach. So the first question that I would like to pose, and please, again, feel free to ask your own questions if they come logically to your mind after some of the discussion. Let's try to do this in a exaptive way, not really as intended, but try to see what is an emergent message from this panel. So my first question to the panel would be, what would be the systemic steps that you could see your country is doing towards circular economy, or what is the level playing field in your country currently? Maybe we can start with, in the same order as we started. Andrei, if you would like to take the first bullet.
Yes, thank you for this, Milan. Thank you for throwing the first bullet to me. We'll try to manage it. I will try to speak as directly as I can, and I found that even that sometimes it's maybe a little bit hard, but I will just tell you that unfortunately in Romania I don't see any kind of, or I don't see relevant actions towards circular economy, and this could be that maybe I'm not so involved in the, let's say, big political and governmental projects or initiatives, but I'm pretty sure that it could be that there are no such big initiatives or overarching programs or strategies in Romania that are currently running related with circular economy. And I believe that this is important to state, that currently we are not doing enough. We are not having these preoccupations at the higher level of our societies, where they should, or they matter most. And I think this is the starting point. It's not really a big problem. It's a big problem because we are late, or because the problems are more and more pressuring us. But if we accept that we don't have a proper initiative in this, if we accept that we don't have proper dialogue, programs, ideas, this, I think we can start to discuss about them. So from this perspective, I don't have too much to say about Romania, but I have also some interesting insights from the company levels in which I work mostly with in my region, and I can tell you that there are a couple of companies in my region that are really doing things seriously in this direction, and I can give you some examples about it. And I can see, for example, that the beer industry in our region is trying to return the waste of their processes back into agriculture, and they are trying now for a couple of years to deal with these issues, because there is not so easy from the legal point of view to return that waste to agriculture, even that biological, that it's perfectly fine, but they have to go over some legislative barriers. And this, I see that it's a constant preoccupation for the industry, and I think it's a good one. Of course, it has economical benefits, and it's normal to have economical benefits, but this is, I believe that this point should be further investigated and pushed further, and went further with, for example, this kind of initiative. There are lots of industries which can turn back their biological waste back to agriculture, and these kind of ideas can be looped back from the beer industry to other industries. This is one example that I can see. Also, I can see examples in the food manufacturing or food processing industry, in which I can tell you that most of the food producers which I talked and discussed, they have preoccupation of trying to transform the food waste in their processes in other kinds of nutrients for other industries, or actually for agriculture, but also for other industries. And this kind of initiatives gives me hope that at least at the industry level, at some levels, some companies understood the challenges that we are facing, and they are moving in some directions.
And also, quickly reflect into this, how is it at all the government or the country financially supporting circular activities? Are you aware of some major incentives, programs, or funds being directed to this?
I'm not aware of direct governmental programs or funds. There are a couple of initiatives coming from the environmental ministry, but they are not oriented to a circular economy. They are oriented toward other way of interventions. So it's not that they are not, but they are not oriented very clearly towards circular economy initiatives.
Understood.
So we put money in, for example, on the transfer to the energy related on or based on fossil fuels, on renewable energy, and there are programs on this, which they started to function. So this is a good initiative, but I'm not aware of very dedicated programs or funds to circular economy initiatives.
Thank you, Andrei. Thank you very much. Let's try to, should I mix up something, or should I just follow the order? Let's try with the order. Marija, what would you like to
The
contribute?
bullet is in my lap now.
Exactly.
Well, I was listening to Andrei in Romania, and I would like to believe that in Montenegro we made some initial baby steps towards circular economy. At the economic conference that the chamber organized last year, as well as during the Green Days that were organized for the first time last year, along with our partner UNDP office in Montenegro, as well as, of course, the government, which is a natural partner in this process, we announced the development of the Circular Economy Roadmap. The Chamber is one-of-a-kind association of the entire Montenegrin economy is, of course, committed to partnership with the government, and in a way it is responsible for reflecting on the country's economic future. That is why we saw this as an important step to be involved in this process. And that's why we launched and initiated the development of this document to steer us in the right direction. So we are able, first of all, to identify the relevant sectors and be able to act upon what our findings are. The circular economy has also been included in the smart specialization strategy of Montenegro, which was a document which connects several sectoral policies and defines priority technological fields in which new value added can be achieved. So this was another important step that we made that will benefit us after all. So far, we have done the activities that represent, let's say, the first step of the development of this roadmap. And unfortunately, as we are all well aware, the situation with COVID slowed down this process, but has not stopped us for sure. The first workshop that we organized was included many stakeholders, the government representatives, of course, as well as the representatives of local governments, so the cities, international organizations, very important private sector, as well as NGOs. So we wanted to include everybody's perspective when developing this document, and that allowed us to see where we are all at when it comes to knowledge on circular economy, to transfer some of our knowledge and to exchange some of the best practices, which was important in this first step. The Ministry of Economy of Montenegro also recently initiated a program for improving the competitiveness of the economy, which was aimed at entrepreneurs, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. And under this program, they had a specific, like a smaller scale program, which was aimed at fostering circular economy. And under this program, they co-financed the costs of wastewater treatment in agri-food industry, and as well as the industrial wastewater treatment. The funds that were allocated for this specific line were around 150,000 euros, which is not a lot, but it is a first step, let's say, and we would like to believe that we will see even more programs and more incentives in the future coming from the government, but also through EU funds and EU financed activities, as well as EBRD, which also has a specific line for greening the economy. So these are some of the steps that we took in this first process. We hope to work on the development of the roadmap in the next year for sure, and finalize this document so we can continue further implementing the activities that we identified as key first steps, first actual steps.
Thank you, Marija. Thank you very much. Vedad, you are next on my list with with candies. I don't want to use these these words, bullets, etc. So the candy is at your stake.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think expected. So it's more or less similar to the ones in Romania and Montenegro, and I guess also in the other countries. So In Bosnia and Herzegovina, there is no systematic approach, I would say, towards circular economy. Since the first communication in 2014, we have been working and trying to raise awareness on the topic and the approach on circular economy. But since then, there is no systematic approach on any level, so neither from the state level and down to the local levels. There are some initiatives which are more ad hoc initiatives, I would call them, by the Environmental Fund, for instance. They are having a two-folded approach towards circular economy. One is they have dedicated open calls for different kind of projects which can finance projects which are subjected to circular economy. On the other hand, what is often misunderstood, or I don't know how to say, but people often put an equal sign between recycling and circular economy. And when they say we do circular economy, and when we ask what do, we recycle, and that's it. So the circular economy as a term is considered as very narrow, which is not obviously the case. So I think it's more often used as a buzzword, also not just in the donors, but also in the words of the implementers. Another significant initiative worth mentioning is similar to the one in Montenegro, is also Undp, which is quite active, working not just in our country. I know it's the case also in all the Balkans and ex-Yugoslav countries. So they are, I would say, systematically pushing the circular economy, but the Undp has no possibilities to enforce any kind of laws or policies or whatsoever. So they are just creating some enabling conditions to make some policies happen in the future. So I would summarize that there are some sporadic or ad hoc initiatives, but no systematic approach.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. So far, we have three slightly different answers. So from Andrei, there is major notion of bottom-up approach where businesses are taking the step forward in comparison to the government support or government's leadership. Then Marija told us that there are some first steps actually from top-down initiative, that creating and trying to differentiate and prioritize between the things, and Vedad that the storytelling is I would say right from the both sides, but both of them are taking very narrow and ad hoc approach to circular economy. Are there any formal documents that are directly directed to circular economy, to your knowledge, not necessarily that?
If you are asking from some kind of institution, no. So there is neither an action plan or a strategy or whatsoever. So in this regard, no. There are, for instance, some strategies related to either waste or environment in general, which are, I would say, touching the topic of circular economy, but we cannot say that they're directly focusing and just solely tackling the circular economy concept. So no, there are no.
Thanks, Vedad. And finally, Marija, let us know a bit more about how Bulgaria stands in this light.
Well, of course, we are in the beginning of the pathway, but I would like here to point out one progress that we are very proud of, that we contributed to, and it is in the light of what all the speakers during the 2 days were highlighting. And it's when we talk about system change, first we need to start with common objectives, with drawing the impact that we anticipate. Regarding this aspect of the topic, I would say that Bulgaria is doing one very important step right now, and it is that we managed to complete, together with the Ministry of Economy, an exercise, let's say, on analyzing how to integrate circular economy indicators in all relevant domains. We are very proud that with the help of Climate Kick, who played something like an orchestration role, we managed to motivate the Ministry of Economy to take leadership role and form an interministerial focus group, including the Ministry of Regional Development, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment and Water, and others, energy, of course, and other sectors that with them we managed for the first time to view at this topic collectively. And I think this was the first time in the history of policy making in Bulgaria, or at least it has happened really rarely, when different stakeholders placed on the table their angles of view, and together these angles created actually the system that needs to be transformed. So this, I believe it was a very important step. Otherwise, we don't have a specific document that outlines the path that we need to walk. And I start to believe that this is actually a healthy approach. I hope that one day we will stop talking about circular economy. We will start talking about valuing resources, of capturing value, of taking care of one another, of understanding value systems. And I believe this is where actually things will click, when we start focusing on the processes themselves. Maybe in this regard, there are two also moments I would love to share, because I believe they're important and they are an indicator for the starting of the change. The first one is that in the still the draft of the national restoration strategy. No, restoration is not the right term. I'm sorry. How do we say this major plan which COVID inflicted?
Recovery.
Recovery. Sorry, recovery. For the national recovery plan, there are two major priorities. One is digital Bulgaria and the other is green Bulgaria. And I think this is quite enough to depict where the measures will go. And hopefully we have managed to influence delivering cohesive, cohesive metrics about the income that we want to achieve. And the other thing I want to mention is that the major capital city of Bulgaria, which is actually concentrating above 40% of the national economy, national GDP, this year launched for the first time a green investment plan, which I believe it's a very, very good sign. And my entrepreneurial experience would also is tempted to share one thing, which is like an encouragement for all of us, all the countries, is that though we don't see many examples yet for classical circular economy, no businesses nor breakthrough innovations, judging from our experience with green entrepreneurship, we managed a couple of acceleration programs for the last 5 years. We saw that it takes only 1 or 2 success stories that just inspire a pipeline of innovators that strive and really succeed. So I would say that in Bulgaria, we are starting to shape something like a micro green innovation ecosystem. And it started really literally with 1 or 2 companies that just made major success, and it just ignited, the pathway.
Thank you. Yeah, that's another approach for us to learn as well. Creating micro ecosystems. Well, micro in a sense of encapsulating the whole Bulgaria. right? Or micro ecosystem between small companies and entrepreneurs and innovators?
Yeah, I believe, Milan, this question, my statement also answers partially your question about how do I envisage the role of the beacons. I strongly believe that this is something that needs to be nourished constantly, and the beacons could play such a role.
Thanks, Maria. So the fact is that in the last couple of months, we were sharing precisely these and many other information between countries in order to constantly learn from each other and build our capacities in order to act and to know which kind of actors in which way to intrigue or to activate, and in order to facilitate this systemic change. For the Serbia's sake, I would only say a couple of words. We have from 2016 to 2020, we have managed to change the narrative, and major activity there, I would say, was the multi-stakeholder education about systemic circular economy, because 2016 we were always talking about waste management and green economy, even though, and we were constantly saying circular economy is recycling and green economy, and not really with some major connections between these two. I mean, argumented connections. And now in 2020, we did have a strategic approach to it, started from the Ministry of Environment, strongly supported also by international organizations, and they are very loud, I mean, very impactful. Undp, GIZ, and AIT Climate Cake, and OSCE as well. So four major, right? It's four major development and international organizations that are helping on this field, that also facilitated this kind of multi-purpose collaboration. And now we have created an ex-ante analysis about what is circular economy, what could circular economy bring good to Serbian society and industry, and what maybe could be consequences if we create this, and what kind of way should we take in creating this. And this was the first document that was actually governing the further decision making on whether should we create a strategy or an action plan or a program. And these are all buzzwords if we don't see them in practice, right? And we are also in the brink of creating a new program for circular economy that should be horizontally positioned, not really taking the ownership of only one ministry or maybe one actor, but going both actually vertically and horizontally. So horizontally to multi-ministerial groups, and vertically through industry and policy making thing. And that's where Chamber of Commerce and Center for Circular Economy of Chamber of Commerce is strongly taking very responsible and very prominent role. And I was talking about the education. So this was where we shaped the narrative, the new narrative from recycling to innovation on circular economy. And therefore now we can see that in the new industrial strategy for 2030, so the strategy of industrial development of Republic of Serbia until 2030, we can see that one of the pillars is circular economy. So it's not waste management, it's really going towards the economy, towards industry. And one more that is not directly relating to circular economy, not directly wording, is the strategy of sustainable urban development until 2030 that enables brownfields to get reactivated, for instance, and it enables mobility, urban mobility, to get even more mobilized and even more activated. And in sense of practical work, companies are still skeptical and still asking me, how do you and why do you sell this? And my answer is always, we're not selling anything. We're just looking just a couple of years in the future and trying to prepare you for this. So that's the bottom-up approach, but that was 2016. And each year, when how the awareness is coming up, each year we have new and new companies willing to contribute, to learn, and to implement parts of circular economy in their business. The only difficulty that we have still is transferring this systemic overview of circular economy, because it's too meta for companies, and they cannot understand it very briefly. So they usually, not all the time, but usually don't take it to business-like, right, or too serious. But the ones that they do, they actually realize how transformative this is and how much sense does it make. So in essence, this is the situation of Serbian part. Do you have some questions for us? Some of you, before I start with the new round? If not, I know that we have 20 more minutes, so let's try to be faster in the next one. This was very important because it's constantly being asked, like, how are the countries in the region? And that's also our purpose, to get more visibility and how to compare between and how to cooperate. The next question that I would like to ask is, how do you see actually the collaboration? On what level do you see major collaboration between countries? And let's try to wrap up in 2 minutes per speaker. This time, trying to start with let's see if there is a natural flow and someone wants to react firstly. So on what level do you see collaboration between countries in next 3 years is essential?
I can start. Well, my answer is going to be simple at all levels, because I mean, it requires cooperation, of course, on a national level, on governmental level, because we talk about the systemic approach, and this is the systemic approach. So not only we need to have a systemic approach within each of the country of our countries, but also we need to have a systemic approach as a region. We are all interconnected. Our economies are intertwined. We depend on each other. Our markets depend on each other. So I think in this process, it is important to cooperate. I will just briefly mention also the Western Balkans 6-Chamber Investment Forum, which is also a good platform for collaboration on this kind of projects, because they gather more than 350,000 companies from Albania, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Kosovo, and these, because the companies and the private sector is crucial in this transformation. They are the ones who need to transform, because they are the ones who drive the economy. So I think the cooperation on all of these levels, sharing practices, best practices, sharing our experiences, but also trying to involve each other in different projects. You know, I know what's happening in Serbia. I know what are the things that I can learn from them, or I have something that I can offer them. So this is kind of collaboration that should be happening among us.
Thank you, Maria. So if I would say, I would sum up with active collaboration on all levels.
If I may add now,
please.
Although I do agree with Maria, I'm a little bit pessimistic. So, and I will explain why. If I may draw a parallel with another initiative, which is the energy sector, so which is, I would say, even more interconnected on the regional level, at least at the moment being, maybe not in the distant future, but at the moment being, it's very interconnected, and we have, or we do not have any kind of collaboration between the countries, except some trading of energy, which is just, I would say, profit-based, not with any other background idea or whatsoever. So what I would rather see in the circular economy approach and the regional approach is to have a value chain connectivity. Again, there are some similar initiatives in other sectors in Europe being done in this regard, also again in the energy sector, where different targets are not set at country level, but are set at industry level. And then this asks these industry players to interact in between each other and to have cooperation, because the goal is not anymore at the state level, it's on the industry level. So in this regard also, I think what would make sense, and this is actually the possibility for Climate Kick and similar initiatives, to create enabling conditions of different actors within one or more value chains to interact, and then to find their mutual benefits and interact. If we wait for our states to do something, I think we will wait too long to make something.
Really long. Thank you, Vedad. A very important voice, or very loud voice, last year was exactly this. Let's connect and exchange, materials, close the loop between countries, and bottom-up actors, so smaller or bigger, doesn't matter, are really seeing, let's connect on this industrial level. All right, so we have two major approaches. We have to talk in policy, we have to talk about business connection, but we have to talk about creating common or closed value chains between our countries as well. Thank you, Vedad and Marija.
May I also, Diana Maria, to add one nuance which I believe will become more critical in the close future, and it's the dialogue around materials, especially if we talk about regional connectivity. I think the crisis right now shows how important compact value chains turn to be, and well-designed value chains. And it inevitably concerns material. And since we see that the administration is lagging with the speed that the business and innovation needs, and the regulation is not helping this process, I believe that some grassroots activity will support this action. And usually I wouldn't be optimistic, but what made me optimistic is the call from this Saturday from the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Guterres, who on the occasion of the summit for celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Paris Climate Accord, which stated some discouraging conclusions from how the world is performing with this accord. He made a very explicit call to all the world leaders on declaring climate emergency. And I believe that if we have such a will on a very, very high political level, somehow the speeds from the bottom up and up to bottom will synchronize, hopefully in close future. But materials will be a very, very important topic. And I believe also some alignment between the expectations, the impact of investments on every level.
Thank you, Marija. So materials, resources, energy are three of the loops that we could close together. Thank you very much, Marija. Also, I would say ownership and value added to the materials. If we can regionally create loops that are adding much more value that are currently doing, that's the right direction. I mean, we have to come from wishful thinking to actually action, and hopefully circular economy beacons are gonna help in that direction. Andrei.
I liked very much the ideas that we discussed until now, and I think Ved also proposed that within Climate Kick, we did this within these projects of climate beacons, we can facilitate the dialogue between various parties. And I like this idea, and I think that we should include this kind of initiatives in the way we plan our projects in the future, because we need to provide a kick or a start for these discussions. We need to push a little bit and to enable some conditions that these discussions can happen. Mm-hmm. From my perspective, I see that there are three major actors that we should consider or we should involve in open these discussions, and I see that these three major actors are ministries, So at the level of ministries and government, not at the very high level, but ministries, talking to each other, seeing that they are facing the same problems, the same challenges, maybe in a different or a little bit the form is different, but the challenge is the same and the problems are the same, and we can learn from each other. And if we manage to facilitate this kind of dialogue, I think we have a chance to make some steps, but also we have the chance to grow the confidence that all of us are in the same situation, and we can do it better, or we can go beyond it if we support each other, or we can find means at least of communicate them between us. Now the second actors which I see very important are the universities or the educational centers, that again they need to prepare the future generation for this kind of thinking. We can see that it's not hard, it's not easy to think in a different way, and this effort should start already at the educational level, at the universities and high schools and so on, and talking to each other and exchanging experience and knowledge. It's important. But I think we have here two major also players, the chambers of commerce, we have them in our projects. We collaborate with them, and I believe that they can play a major role because they can facilitate the dialogue between companies. Exactly. They are the perfect environment to facilitate this dialogue. Maybe not to bring solutions, but to facilitate the dialogue and discussions.
Yeah, yes. I would bring to this one also that we need to collaborate on the transparency of flows and the transparency of information that currently are lacking on various fields. On certain materials, certain products are just disappearing from our markets, and we need to get them more visible in order to be able to plan, in order to be able to really pinpoint what are the imminent priorities, or what is the value that we are losing, that is leaking from this region, so we can recapture it in some way or at some point or another.
I think you touched a very relevant point, because if we in our countries at these levels that we are discussing discover that we have the same priorities in front of us, they are the same problems, there are not so many, we can reduce them to some core issues which are relevant for all of us, for all of the countries, and which can better approach if we exchange and share information, knowledge, and resources between each other. And if we manage to get to these core points, we can have an easier life ahead. Easier life, and easier said than done. Definitely. The thing is that we have to understand this is not a 1 year thing that now we're talking about. It's basically 5 to 10 years of development and collaboration, and trying to figure out what kind of data do we need, what kind of priorities do we need, etc. We can set some first line priorities because we need action, and we shouldn't postpone and wait for 6 years in order to get alignment. But yeah, we need to make these things more transparent. Before I move to the last question, because we have 10 more minutes, Maya, do you have any view on these two questions that we have passed thoroughly? And
yeah, my experience, actually, my point of view is not national. It's not like doesn't come from specific local or national point, but it actually does mix France, Germany, and Western Balkans experiences. Mm-hmm. So we're actually trying to work on some kind of level of advocacy, but of course, as you can imagine, this is like really, really hard to do in trilateral or even more lateral environment. So nothing specific, but I'm really enjoying your answers and to learn more about local and national contexts.
Great. Well, Maya, maybe this is the intermezzo time that if you would like to share your initiative and what's cooking in your backyard, and to see if we can integrate our activities and synergize our planning. Let's start collaborating already.
Yeah, that would be perfect, actually. again, thank you for inviting me to this. I'm just discovering different, key players in this field, because we come, and when I say we, I mean I represent the organization Group SOS Pulse from France, and we deal mostly in social entrepreneurship, helping young entrepreneurs from Western Balkans to start their own socially and ecologically conscious businesses. And all of these different things that you talked about, grassroots, bottom-up approach, not waiting for different policy making and different governments and coordination. I think this is actually what we have happening in our project that is called RISE, Regional Incubator for Social Entrepreneurs. And I think this is actually the hope that we have in future generations to kind of be more conscious when they're starting their own enterprises, hopefully becoming big companies one day, and participating in this kind of dialogue with you. But today they're really young and just starting with their local ideas that are actually developed from perceived challenges, ecological and social, from their really local communities. So we do have people from North Macedonia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, Albania, and Kosovo. And all of these different young people identify different challenges that they want to tackle. And I really think that you would be really surprised how creative they are when it comes to tackling all of these different challenges. So this is what we want to help them with, again, with our partners from the region. And thank you again, Milan. I would love to kind of have more insight into all of your activities and see how these different projects can maybe, continued from our level of ideation of those businesses to maybe some bigger level or different accelerators that different of your projects offer. So I would be really excited to actually explore this option further on.
I don't know if it's a smart thing to do, but I'll just do it. So one of the goals of Beacons is to facilitate entrepreneurial, innovative circular economy. So, and that's not next year, because we need to build ecosystem. Basically, that's the thing that we're doing right now. And in that sense, we really align with goals. And if you see that there is any way that we can facilitate speed up of this development, yeah, pen us or write us a message, and write me a message, maybe that's easiest, and then we'll shoot you in the process somehow.
Will do. And I will also send you a a study that we just did about social entrepreneurship. It's not small. And it wasn't easy to be honest, but it was a study about social enterprises in Western Balkans. So you have some data that we, of course, approach to this data that we already have started working on. And hopefully, this becomes a really fruitful partnership in the future.
Great. Thanks, Maya. Thanks very much. So I would then jump to the next question of our panel. If the panelists don't have any of their questions that you would like to ask, pose.
I have no particular question, but I would rather, because you said we can come up with our questions. So what I would like is, there is no, I would say, obvious opponent of the circular economy. So it's in the case of, in general, sustainable development. So I think that everybody is in for it, but it's not taking place. It's similar because we are actively working in the field of energy transition. So it's also the case. So energy transition is obviously needed to get rid of fossil fuels, but it's not happening. So it's also with the circular economy, and there where is it? It's happening very slowly. So actually, what I would like to share is one of the points on how do I see why it's not happening or why it's going so slowly. It's because the narrative of the circular economy is dominantly communicated through the environmental perspective.
Exactly,
so
that's a good
people
one.
perceive circular economy solely as an environmental benefit. Obviously, it's an environmental benefit, but there are many other benefits, especially when it comes to business, which should be communicated differently. Business always associate environment with costs. And this is the predominant thinking when you're talking of any kind of initiative in regards to environment. It's the first thing they associate to environment is cost. So I think a circular economy has to be communicated in a different manner, not just the environmental value the circular economy brings. There is the customer value, so you get the feedback value, the sourcing value, all other kind of values which are another kind of environmental value or completely different kind of environmental values is reshaping other functions of the business, the marketing function, etc. So I think the narrative should be a little bit different in order to get a better response from the business and from the local, and this everything interconnected with the things we have already discussed.
Vedad, that's one of the how can I say, it's not an argument, but one of the notes that I also always make. If you're talking only about from the environmental perspective, from the environmental argumentation, it's not true circular economy. That's number one. So that you're not, making a right narrative. And secondly, exactly that, it's always going to be on the cost side of every company that perceives circular economy as that. And that's, again, if we're talking about waste management, it's again on the cost side of the actors, and at the end of the cost side of society and the regular citizen. But actually, what circular economy holds or currently hides is the economic potential of it, and that's the real thing that we kind of managed to transfer in these 3 years of actively working collaborative across fields, from waste management to innovation in industry. So that's something promising, that's something different, and that's basically a way out of our huge technological industrial gap that we have between at least between Serbia and West Europe or European Union countries, that counts for some sectors counts for 25 and 35 years. So this is an opportunity to innovation. And also, I would just add one quick thing, which is we need to educate main actors and main decision makers. That's it. So if they understand the narrative, they will know how to follow up on this firstly, and then be a microphone or be a loudspeaker for this one, and facilitate for that change. That's one of the lessons learned that we had here, also through Academy for Circular Economy and multiple dialogues that we have also with international organizations. Thanks.
I also wanted to say that I totally agree with Veda that we, or the environmentalists, let's put it like this. I don't know how to call ourselves, or we don't have a specific name.
Circulars.
Circulars, yes, something like this. The beacons.
Yeah, the beacons. Yeah.
Yes, I think we should integrate more economy in our language, but I also think that the company should integrate more environmentally in their language. So I believe that there should be also a step from their side to understand the things that we discussed.
Yeah.
And there should be also a step from our side to understand the difficulties and the challenges, the economic challenges that they are facing. And we have to understand that this transition to the different business models and to a new way of doing business, it's not an easy step for a company. It involves financial challenges, it involves lots of challenges, but also I think we have to meet somewhere in the middle, and in which we manage to link the two languages together and have a common language in which the problems that we talk are understood by both sides. And we understood the economic challenges, and they understand the environmental challenges. We can manage to find let's say, a common solution and a common language to talk about these issues.
Thanks, Andrei. Marija, maybe both Marias in this case.
Well, I can go first if my colleague from Bulgaria will allow me. She can close the panel. I will just say that in the road mapping process, of course, I agree with all of you. And in the road mapping process, we try to include the policymakers on one side, so the people who are leading the institutions that are steering the policy and that are making the decisions. But also we try to include those who are doing the actual work. So they're counselors or whatever, who are in charge of implementing all these policies in order to educate them. Education is one very, very important thing. And one thing that you mentioned, that people tend to perceive circular economy as recycling. We have the same issue here. So first we need to be able to educate the public, but also we need to be able to steer the companies in the right direction and tell them, okay, this is the way you can improve certain processes. This is not the way to increase the costs for you, but to make your processes even better and more improved, while at the same time improving our environment, because that is also I would like to believe that is the consequence of doing good, not the reason. You know, we need to be able to improve our systems. So yeah.
Thank you, Marija.
Do I have the responsibility to close the panel?
No, don't worry. I have one more last
I'm tempting to take a bit of a philosophical take of the topic. Obviously, I was very influenced by the speakers throughout these 2 days, and while I was preparing also. So a couple of things stayed with me, which I believe touch the core of the task here, of the task with this transition. I don't remember who exactly said that. Good is the nature of things and bad is just the state. And I strongly believe that our economy is just in a state. But we, the people that are the agents of this system, this economical system, have the potential to connect each other through the good nature. Of course, this won't be easy, and obviously, every stakeholder, every piece of the value chain, every level and floor in this system reacts to a different narrative, and it will be our job, and it has always been, by the way, our job to convey this narrative, the necessary narrative for everyone, in order for them to get to understand that we are connected anyway, and it's better to get included and to act instead of just watching how this planet is decomposing. And actually, we are preventing ourselves from a good future for us. It's just a paradox that we need to acknowledge. But I would like to say just that in every challenge lies an opportunity. Another scientist that I'm quoting here, and we have to be disciplined enough to take this view on the situation. The situation is not good, but we need to have this discipline. And something encouraging that I recognized in this COVID crisis is that during the first lockdown, the global lockdown, it turned out that in about 3 weeks' time, the air pollution decreased with about 20%, and the carbon emissions also, and the traffic jams were over. So can you imagine, for 3 weeks' time, just changing a bit of our lifestyle? Of course, there are many side effects, but if we do it consciously, if we do it without urgent or some force majeure situation like it's with this virus, we actually have the power to do it.
Marija, thank you very much. On that note, I would like to summarize some of the conclusions from this panel. The conclusions from the whole conference will be really hard to grasp, but I'll give it a try and follow up, please, if you have some more major ones. So basically, our goal in Beacons is that we open the doors for collaboration and facilitate systemic change. Education is definitely needed, and change of narrative is something that we need to speed up on, not just say it is necessary, but not even try and do, but we really need to speed up in order to catch this train. Bottom-up solutions are somewhere evident, somewhere are not. We need to discover what are the incentives for the bottom-up players that are running, and we need to also synchronize policies across the region in order to facilitate energy transition, in order to facilitate material closing the loops, and common, maybe even new value chain creation. These are all big words, but they're all knit in one vision that circular beacons actually convey, is that we are living in thriving communities that facilitate for the best human being, or for the best human well-being. In order to grow and actually enable development of full human potential. So in these words, I would just like to invite everyone from the conference and everyone that are watching us over YouTube or live stream or here in Zoom, that we are here to fight for collaboration, transparency, and fair transition to circular economy. And with these words, I would like to ask for the last thing of our panelists is in 3 words, or maybe in 5 words, so just to have a sentence. What would be your pledge to work in 2021 towards circular economy? Collaborative, systemic circular economy.
Milan, you shoot with a lot of bullets towards us. But
I know, that's my job today.
But I will not take the first bullet now.
I think we should stay in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Can stay connected, I mean.
So your pledge is to stay connected. Okay, thank you, Marija.
Let's get rid of 2020 and collaborate in 2021.
Vedad is even more serious. He's going to collaborate with us. Perfect. Thank you, Vedad.
I would say that change is possible if we believe in it.
Thank you, Andrei.
I have nothing to add to this. They said everything. They used all the keywords: collaboration, facilitation, change. So I would just stick to these 3 words.
Okay, thank you very much. And at this point, I would like to maybe invite our Greek colleagues as well, our Greek partners, if you would like to contribute with some closing words from your panel, or for some major conclusions from your side, or even with the pledge of what would you do in 2021.
Major conclusions were, hi, I'm Phoebe Kunduri, and I'm sure Lydia, we want to intervene. But major conclusions are collaboration, collaboration, collaboration.
Exactly.
So collaboration in capacity building, in mobilizing the understanding of circular economy, in enabling its implementation, and in getting the public sector work with the private sector in order to really facilitate the transition to circularity. So collaboration with you, and on a national and Balkan scale, and even beyond. Thank you.
Dear Professor Kunduri, thank you very much for these words. And with this, I would like to also, sorry?
Sorry.
Alexandros, please.
Yes, if really shortly, let's realize that in Balkans we have more ties and more similarities than we think, and more potential than we believe. So let's break the silos. Let's support the SMEs and leave no one behind.
Amazing, Alexandros. It's really hard to finalize the session after these words. Let's rewind and wait for you to finish the whole conference. Thank you very much for these words. I would just like to remind everyone that is watching us that this was a 24-hour conference that was organized by Circular Economy Beacons, and partners from this is from this project are Research and Innovation Center Athens from Greece, Cleantech Bulgaria, well, from Bulgaria, Chamber of Commerce and Industry from Timișoara, Chamber of Commerce of Serbia, and CirEkon also from Serbia, and last but not the least, Wuppertal Institute from Germany. We are facilitating change for and fast or speeding up the implementation of circular economy through experimentation, through collaboration, and finally landing on innovation and innovative circularity. The context of this conference was just, let's make this as a first step of making vocal decisions and vocalizing our needs in order to foster further and even better and stronger collaboration. I would only end with 3 words, and these are: enjoy in everything that you do. Enjoy your responsibility, because you will know in some years you are doing the right thing. Engage between us, and we were actually, that was not planned, but we were actually really focusing on collaboration between us. So engage with all of us, engage with some of us, but let's try to create further activity and action in 2021. And at the end, excel in what you do. And that's what we want to provide: education, information, expertise. We have 4 pillars of understanding between circular economy beacons that are tying us together. This is abbreviated as VIRE, and we really shared a single vision and values, information that is so much necessary when we talk about transparency of anything we do, resources in the main thing of human resources and knowledge resources. At the end is E, standing for expertise and exchange. So thank you very much. Excel in everything that you do. And the most important part of the conference and any kind of a meeting that we have is what happens afterwards. So excel in the follow-up. Thank you very much for all the speakers. It was tremendous experience sharing these ideas and these discussions with all of you. Thank you for contributing the whole year for a common project. And I'm sure that this will be the first step of collaborative innovation towards circular economy.
Thank you also, and bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you very much. See you then soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Soon.
Ciao, bye.
Bye-bye.